All right, welcome to our final lecture, Module 7, covering unemployment taxes. Like what we always do at the very beginning of these past few modules, I want you to go through and let's see how much you remember and can do from, this kind of covers the past 3 or 4 modules even, but I'm going to focus on the last one. So go ahead and pause now and see how many of these 12 you can get correct. Okay, let's check the answers here. Which form is filed quarterly for federal income taxes? We should be well used to that by now, 941. And the when are federal income taxes deposited? Well, they're deposited at the same time as FICA taxes, and it's either going to be biweekly or it's going to be monthly, depending on your look back period. When would box 1 differ from 3 and 5 on your W-2? Well, that's going to be when you have retirement monies taken out of your paycheck, because retirement money is not taxed for federal income tax, but it is still left in for FICA taxes, your Social Security and Medicare. And then when would boxes 3 and 5 differ? That's only going to happen if the individual reaches the Social Security cap. Number 5, what is Indiana's state income tax rate? That is 3.23%. And then state taxes are based on where you work. Remember, as a professional athlete, you could have several states that you pay taxes into. Whereas, let's see here, number 7, what is a reciprocal agreement between states? That means that 2 states, if somebody works in one but lives in another, they're only going to pay income tax in the state that they live, which is different than the normal rule. So that would be for Indiana, Kentucky resident, the people who live in Indiana but work in Kentucky, they would only pay Indiana taxes. Number 8, list 3 states that Indiana has a reciprocal agreement with. The primary ones are South Kentucky, East Ohio, and North Michigan. Illinois is not one. And then we have a couple others outside of the that touch us. We have Pennsylvania and Wisconsin as well. Number 8, list 3 states that do not have an income tax. Well, there are 9 total, so you could pick any of the 9. Ones that come to my head right off the bat usually are Florida, Texas, and Nevada. You also got Alaska in there, a couple others, but total of 9. Indiana county taxes are based on where you, and this is different than the state, counties are based on where you live. The fair tax would eliminate which taxes? Well, basically all the taxes that involve payroll, and then, so that includes federal withholdings, FICA taxes, and even goes beyond that to the gift and estate taxes, corporate taxes, lots of things. The fair tax would be similar to what type of tax that we're already used to, and that would be your sales tax, state sales tax. All right, getting into our unemployment information. So FUTA, Federal Income or the Federal Unemployment Tax Act. This fund is only there so states can borrow from it when they, if they run out of unemployment money. So that's why there's not very much that goes into it. Remember, it's only 0.6%, just a number you need to memorize because it doesn't really change, and it hasn't changed since I've been teaching. So I know it hasn't changed since about 2007, even before that. I can't remember back that far. So that's the only reason it's there. Individuals don't draw from it. It's just from the states to borrow from it, and then the states have to pay back into it. So I don't know. I have never done the research to see what the FUTA fund actually has as a balance, but it's got to be huge because nothing ever actually gets withdrawn from it and stays withdrawn. It just, because states have to pay into it. So the money just sits there and keeps building and building. The SUTA differs for every state. Every state has their own unemployment rules. And some of those rules include how much do employers need to put into the fund? And there are even a couple states where the employees have to put in a little bit. Those are not very common. Indiana is not one. And we're going to get into some of the Indiana rules here in just a little bit. Just note that every state is a little different in how they handle unemployment benefits, what they require. But we're going to focus on Indiana. For all unemployment items, if you click here, or this is what you would get. This is your unemployment claimant handbook, and it's going to give you pretty much everything you need to know if you ever need to take out unemployment. You can see some of the items here. How do I file? Do I even qualify for benefits? And how much will my benefits be? All the kind of general questions that you would want to know if you think you can get unemployment. This is one of your resources that you'd want to come to. So we're going to try to answer some of the most common questions here, just to kind of give you an idea. So how much can an individual get for unemployment? Well, as you can see here, the minimum that you can get is $50, while the max is $390. So $390, and that's per week. If you wanted to work it out, $390 times 52 weeks. If you you don't usually qualify for 52 weeks, but what that comes out to be on a yearly basis is 20 grand. So not terrible, but also not that bad, I guess, for not working. And $390, if you wanted to do that over an hourly basis, a typical 40-hour work week, $9.75 an hour. Now, to get to the $390 though, you have to have made quite a bit in your previous job. So they're not just going to randomly give you $390. Okay, so what they're going to do is it's kind of similar to your Social Security. They're going to look at your total compensation, but this time they're only going to look at it for the past year or the past 52 weeks of work that you've done, and then divide it out by 52. And then whatever that is, you get 47%. That's what you would be eligible for. So just under half of your normal wages. So it's to provide you something to get you by, but it's not there to be long-term and give you extra spending money by any means. Okay, so I just give us a little example. Let's say you average $30,000 a year, which would be $15 an hour. You take 30,000, that comes out to be divided by 52 weeks, $576 per week. And you get 47% of that. And we're still under the max, so we're okay. You would draw $271 in unemployment per week. That's not a lot, especially if you have a decent sized rent that you have to pay. All right, how long can I remain on unemployment? The typical rule is 26 weeks, so that's half a year. Now, there are some exclusions or some extensions to that due to COVID, and those have pretty much lapsed. But and you can see everything. If you can go here. This link here, I believe, goes into more in depth about the COVID. Yeah, this was the last updated for today, and when this lecture video is being created is July 30th in 2021. So this was just updated about 2 weeks ago, and you can go through and see some of the different items that are in flux right now due to COVID. Do I qualify for unemployment? Well, some of the first thing you got to do is have sufficient wages over your the past 4 quarters. If you don't have any wages to base back off of, then you're not going to get anything. All right, so your wages must total at least $4,200, and $2,500 of that $4,200 coming within the last 6 months. So that's not a lot of money, $2,500 over 6 months. Definitely not enough to live on in total. So hopefully you would have had that much. That's not a high threshold. All right, another big part here, besides making previous money, be employed through no fault of your own, meaning you can't quit. And there are a few exceptions, and you can't be fired within a few exceptions. But the general rule is you can't just quit and then start claiming unemployment or be fired. You basically have to be laid off from the employer, be riffed, because your job just doesn't exist anymore, or they don't have enough work for you. The exceptions here is if you had, here's a couple of examples, an unreasonable change in working conditions. You can document the harassment, and you would have to document that. You'd have to send that into the unemployment. Domestic violence or a spouse moving, that would be okay. In military service. So you're moving for a spouse's job, so therefore you have to quit your own job. That would be an exception. The last part here is you do have to be willing to work and able to work and available to work. So if something comes up and you're supposed to continue looking, you have to take the first, basically, suitable job that comes up. So then what counts as suitable work? Because you probably could go find anything and find something, but they realize and appreciate that you want to stick in your own career field if possible and make a reasonable amount close to what you previously made. But they also say, you got to be able to have some concessions as well the further along you get being unemployed. So you have to, first off, if you get a suitable job offer, you have to take it. And that's going to be based on, of course, a suitable job location may not be 90 miles away. That's not going to count. The longer you remain unemployed, the more these grow. So the further you would expect to have to travel, may not just be in your own little town or city. You're going to have to think outside, expand it to 30, 40, maybe 50 miles away from your home. And be willing to expand your search beyond just your expertise, perhaps, and then begin to accept a lower rate. And then they specify what that lower rate is. They're saying, okay, after you've between 5 and 8 weeks of being laid off, you've got to start accepting work that's 90% of what your previous job was. So think if you were making 30,000, 90% of that would be 27. You have to be able to be okay with that. And then after 8 weeks, 80%. So now we're talking 24,000 compared to the original 30. All right, so what do employers have to do? The employer has to pay into FUTA if they have more than $1,500 in wages for the year. And they employ one or more people at least 1 day a week for more than 20 weeks. They're going to then qualify to have to pay into FUTA. All right, so basically, as I had stated before, we're going to be using the federal taxable wages as our wage base. So just make sure we're using that, not gross wages. Same typical rules here about who's not an employee. So your independent contractors, yeah, those are not employees, just by general rule. They're their own bosses. Let's continue on down. The FUTA tax rate, these we've already covered, even back to week 1. But just to emphasize here, 7,000, that's our cap. So once the employee has earned 7,000 for the year, the employer does not pay into FUTA anymore. So as you can guess, for most employers, most of their full-time employees are definitely going to hit, or all of their, if they're full-time, they're going to hit this cap. Even a lot of part-time employees are going to hit this. So they only pay into it maybe for the first, maybe 3 months at most, because the employee will hit the cap. All right, the Indiana SUTA rate. SUTA is a little bit higher cap than FUTA cap. It used to be the same. Back before 2010, the FUTA and the SUTA cap were the same for Indiana. But after the recession in 2000, about 8 or 9, people started getting laid off. They took out a lot of money out of the unemployment. Unemployment ran out of money. They had to go borrow from the FUTA. So Indiana didn't want to be caught like that again. So they raised the cap to have a bigger fund base to draw from and to hopefully not have to borrow from FUTA again. All right, so another item. So once that's the cap, and then you think, well, what's the percentage? Well, the percentage depends on the company. Depends on the company and how often they lay people off and those people draw out of the Social Security fund. Because if you have more people drawing out of it, you should then be paying more into it. If you have nobody drawing out of it almost ever, then why should you be paying more? It should be paying much into it at all. And so those companies are very, very low. All right, so since Indiana, the state, doesn't know how much employees are going to be withdrawing from it, if you're new, everybody starts out at 2.5%. That's the new rate. And I want you to remember that one. 2.5% is the Indiana rate for new employers. And so if you max that out for the year, that's going to be an additional $237 per employee that you hire. Basically taking $9,500 times 2.5%, the cap times the rate. All right, so once you become established and the state figures out how many people you're going to lay off, typical, their estimate, you're going to pay anywhere in between these two percentages. Okay, so most of the time it's going to be in the lower side, but could be up, could be quite up. Okay, same cap calculations as we did with Social Security. Remember, all you do is take your step one, take your prior wages plus your current wages, and then you answer yes or no. Are you over the cap or not? And if you are, you go down to step two. You take your cap. This is for FUTA or SUTA. So depending on what the cap is going to be, 7,000 or 9,500 minus what you've made. And that's what's left is taxable. All right, so let's try this and let's give it a shot here. We've got example number one. We have 3 employees. Their federal and FICA taxable wages per pay are listed. Let's see here. Nothing has changed throughout the year. This is the 4th pay. Their current pay here. We're assuming that that is their federal and their FICA tax actual taxable wages. Okay, they don't have, or if they do, it's already taken into consideration here. Medical insurance premiums or anything other items. So what they have listed here is taxable. The employer SUTA rate is 1.9%. This is their 4th pay. You could have already figured that basically if you took 1,500 and went up 2 pays 3,000, 3 pays 4,500. So this is their year to date 3 pays so far, and we're up to the 4th pay. So I want you to determine how much do they have taxable, how much money of their current pay is going to be taxable for FUTA and SUTA, and then how much actual tax is going to be collected. And you may just have 2 little columns for FUTA taxable, and then what's the FUTA tax, and then SUTA taxable, and what's the SUTA tax. And then we're going to add them up to see what our total is, and then provide the second journal entry based on this information. All right, so let's see how you do. Give it a shot. It's not that difficult. It's just mainly looking at caps, and we'll check our answers. So go ahead and pause now. All right, example number 1. This is what I have come up with. So for Joe has $4,500 year to date. If you add in 1,500 of that, he's still not at the cap. So all 1,500 is taxable for FUTA and SUTA. Carrie, if you add 2,000 to her previous wages, she's going to go over the FUTA cap. So we need to figure out what's left. And so you can do step 1 and step 2. So for Carrie, the answer was yes, she's over the cap. So step 2, take the 7,000 minus her current wages. That leaves us 1,000 left. But for SUTA purposes, she's not going to go over the cap. The 6 plus the 2 is not over 9,500. So the full 2,000. And then finally for Leah, total wages today, 8,700. That's already over the FUTA cap. For SUTA, if we add those two together, yep, it's over the SUTA cap. So we've got to go to step 2, 9,500 minus the 8,700. We're left with 800. So then what I decided to do on this one, instead of just putting the tax out here to the side, I just took the 2,500 and multiplied it by 0.006 for a total of $15 for all 3 employees. And then took 4,300 times 1.9, $81. Now the payroll journal entry, the second payroll, we're going to still do our Social Security and Medicare, but those are going to be easy because nobody has come even close to the Social Security cap. So we're just going to add up our current wages and then multiply that by the 2 rates for Social Security and Medicare. And then we already have the FUTA and the SUTA. So if you add up all of these, 1,500 plus 2,000 plus 2,900, multiply that by 6.2%, that's where I got this. And then the payroll tax expense, remember that's just you adding all of the extra taxes that the employer has to pay. The only thing that's different here now with lecture example number 2 is now I give you one extra item. I give you only the gross pay and then how much is taken out of their check for other items. So to determine what's taxable and what's not. So these guys are paid semi-monthly, 3rd pay of the year. Assume this is a new company. So we got to remember back to what the new company SUTA percentage is. And I want us to determine how much has been earned year to date, and then how much will be taxable for FUTA and SUTA. And then we can then do like what we did here and figure the total tax. Okay, so go ahead and pause now for lecture example number 2. All right, lecture example number 2. First thing we're going to look at, we got Tom. This is our 3rd pay, and Tom has gross of 4,000. And for federal purposes, we can deduct all 3 of these for federal income tax purposes. The medical insurance premiums, flexible spending, and 401k are all tax deductible. So we're going to subtract out the 210, the 140, and the 120. So he's made 3,530 so far in 1 pay. So we take that times 2 for 2 pays. He's just over the cap, 7,060. So his year to date for FUTA, we can't go over the cap. So that's 7,000. And the SUTA rate, we haven't quite hit it yet. Now, what we need to do to figure out the taxable wages for this period. All right, we've already hit the FUTA cap, so nothing left for FUTA. For SUTA, we're going to need to do our step 1, step 2. Okay, so if we take our prior wages plus our current wages, which was, oh shoot, divide this by 2, 3,530. If we add in 3,530, that's going to take us over the cap. So then all we need to do is take the cap minus our current wages to date, 7060. That's what we had put here. What's left? 2440. On this one, I decided to go ahead and put the tax out on each individual. You didn't need to do that. We could have figured that up later. So that was just me just doing a little something extra there. All right, let's do Jerry, 3,800. I'm going to subtract out all of these, 140 minus the 90 and the 100. Okay, so year for one pay, 3,470 times 2. So year to date, Jerry has 6,940, and that's going to be the same for both FUTA and SUTA because we haven't hit the FUTA cap yet. We are very, very close to the FUTA cap. Only $60 left for the FUTA cap. And then if we, let's get that original amount, 3,470. If I add 3,470 to this, that takes us over the SUTA cap. So what I want to do is take the SUTA cap, step 2, minus my current year-to-date wages. And that leaves me with this much left to be taxed for Jerry. All right, Roadie, Roadrunner, 3,500 minus 190, minus 110, and minus 100, $3,100. So times 2. This guy is at $6,200, not over either cap. So that is their year-to-date wages for both. 3,100 plus 6,200 takes us way over the FUTA cap. So we only have, if you take 7,000 minus 6,200, 800. And then if you take 6,200 plus another 3,100 in total wages for the pay, that doesn't take us over the cap for SUTA. So we can do the full 3,100. And then for the Wiley guy, when you take all of his deductions, you get 1,760. And if you add in 1,760 to his prior 2 pays, he doesn't hit the cap even with this third pay. So all his wages are taxable for both FUTA and SUTA. Then if you take the 2620 and multiply that by 0.006, you're going to get what I did over here. I just added up for each employee instead. SUTA, same thing. You take the 9860 and you multiply that by the new rate for an employer, which is 0.025. And we get the 246.50. All right, I'm not going to take a whole lot of time with this next part, but I do want to show you what happens if somebody works in more than one state. How do they know where to draw unemployment from? Or how does the company know who to pay into for SUTA purposes? So if you have an employee who works in maybe 3 states on a regular basis, Michigan, Illinois, and Indiana, well, which one do you pay SUTA into, or do you pay it into all of them? All right, so let's look at that. All right, so the company, the first rule is no, you don't pay into all of them. You only pay into one state per one employee. And whatever state that is that you pay into as the employer, that when you figure out the rules, that's going to be the state that the employee has to draw from if they ever get to draw unemployment. So just because they live in Indiana doesn't mean that that's going to be where they draw their unemployment from. All right, so where do you draw unemployment from? You got some the factors here. Usually the first 2 are going to come into play the most often. All right, so A, the first determining factor, where is the main work localized? So you may go to other states and do some things, but maybe half of your time at least is in one state. So that's where you would draw Social Security unemployment from, and that's where the employer would pay into. So think of like a sales rep who makes quite a few trips out of state. but their primary work is in Indiana. Employee lives in Gary, but works in Chicago. Notice on this one, just because they live in Indiana doesn't mean that that's where they're going to draw unemployment from, because their primary work is localized in Illinois. It's not based on where they live. So the employer will pay into Illinois unemployment, and the employee will draw from Illinois unemployment. So where is your work primarily localized? Not where are you localized necessarily. Okay, base of operation. If you have equal time in every state, let's say 50-50, that you only have 2 states, or it's 33% on all 3 states, whatever it comes out to be, then you come down to number 2 here. Place of the employee's permanent nature. All right, so where do they go back to at the end of the day? Where do they start their day? That's going to be their primary home state then at that point, if they spend equal amount in all the states. The final location here, if none of these items work out, you're going to finally go to the employee's residence, but most of the time you're going to hit it with the 1 or 2. I thought these were interesting. Some current US unemployment stats, and you can definitely click here and find these updated, because by the time you are looking at this, they're going to be different than what they are right now. As you can see, they haven't updated for July yet, because July it's still technically July. It's the last 2 days of July. So they still have June up here. But by the time you're looking at this, you might want to check out and see where they're at, where unemployment is compared to the most recent that I have available. So I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of background here. Where was the unemployment before the pandemic? It was really pretty low. This is lower than even the normal of what they consider a healthy industry level. A healthy level is somewhere around 5%, because at 5%, there's enough people still looking for work that employers can still find some good help. When it gets down below 5%, employers have a lot harder time, because there are still, a few people still looking, but a lot of those people who are looking, there's a reason they're looking. They're not maybe the best employees. And so it begins to be harder for the employer. Over about, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8%, then employers have a lot of people to pick from, but there's a lot less jobs out there for the employees looking for work. So a good healthy one is right around 5%. So this was actually below that. So it was getting harder for employers to find people to work. COVID hits and lots of people are laid off, especially in the entertainment sector or the dining sector. 14.7%, that's pretty high. That was the highest peak of the pandemic. And in comparison, remember the Great Recession, if you're old enough to remember that back that far, that only got to a 9.8%. Now, true, the 9.8% lasted a lot longer, whereas this 14.7 was a quick spike, and then it slowly came back down, back to more normal levels. And you can see we're pretty close to a real healthy, even you think, well, there's still unemployment benefits out there, and Indiana has started denying those. And that's basically because we're at a really healthy, there are a lot of jobs available. 5.9% is a pretty good indicator. It's a pretty fair where US likes to be. And you can compare that from US to Indiana unemployment. Indiana was even a little bit lower before the pandemic, 3.1, that's pretty low. Our unemployment got even higher than the national rate. Quite a few layoffs. Our current rate is quite low, even back below, almost back down to normal rates, or back down to the pre-pandemic rate. So there aren't a lot of people looking for work anymore compared to even way back before the pandemic. And back in 2010 with the Great Recession, it didn't get as high as COVID, but again, it was a lot longer lasting. this was a quick spike. So I thought those were kind of interesting numbers. All right, the FUTA tax form. So we've already looked at the form 941. The form 940 is quite a bit easier to complete. There's still some things we've got to do with it. I'm going to pull up the 940 and we're going to go through this. Okay, so you can see it kind of has some similarities to the 941. They're kind of laid out, the same color situation. All right, the 940. Notice here when it's due by, it's an annual form, whereas the 941 is a quarterly. So it's due by the January 31, or just like on the other one, if all your payments, you get an extra 10 days. Most of the time, all of your payments are going to be done electronically now. All right, one of the rules with FUTA taxes is the form's not due until every year, but you have to make payments every quarter with one exception. You don't have to make a payment if your liability does not exceed $500. So if after all the money you've collected into the FUTA, your FUTA T account, the FUTA payable, if it doesn't exceed 500, you don't have to make a payment on that quarter. You can, if you want to, you can just get in the habit of doing it, but you don't have to. Once you get to 500, then you have to make a payment by the end of the next quarter. And then notice here, you've got to do it like all of the other ones by the end of the month following the quarter. All right, so we're going to look at that. We're going to see if we have 500 yet. If we don't, we're going to carry over that amount. It's still going to be in our T account. And then we're going to judge it the next quarter, see if we're over 500. All right, so if basically how this works here, if your FUTA liability, if we're looking at our T account, it's only $300 at the end of the first quarter, we don't have to pay anything. We just hold that 300 there until going into the second quarter. Let's say we add another 300. Now we're at 600. By the end of the second quarter, now we've got to make a payment for that whole 600 by the end of July. Because June 30th is the end of the second quarter, we have until the end of the next month. If by the end of the last quarter, you have anything left to be paid, or maybe you haven't even hit 500 at all the whole year, then you send in all of the money at the end of the year. So it's due at the end of the year. All right, Form 940. I'm going to skip past the 940 EZ. If you qualify for that, yeah, you definitely should. Basically, if all your SUTA payments go to one state, all of your employees work in one state, that you'd want to go ahead and use the EZ form. Otherwise, we're going to come down here to the Form 940. Part one, you just basically put in your state where you're paying into, the state income, the state unemployment. All right, this is the main sector that we're going to look at, lines 3 through 8. And then the bottom half, just like on 941, where they have how much was due each time, we're going to fill that in. All right, so the first one here, line 3, it doesn't specify, like it did on the 941, it didn't specify it either. But on this one, it's just the opposite of the 941. This one is looking for total payments to the employees. And when they mean by total payments, they mean total gross wages. Remember on the 941, when it asks for your total wages, it was looking for federal taxable wages. No, this one is looking for your gross wage. Line 4, payments exempt from FUTA tax. So all of those items that aren't taxed for federal income taxes purposes are also not going to be taxed here. So we're going to add all of those up, all of those tax deductions, and we're going to mark the boxes that those go to and put in the amount. And then any other amounts that made us go over the cap, we're going to put here in line 5. Line 6 is just simply adding these two up. Line 7 is what's left, because you're going to take line 3 minus all of those items that are not taxable. And we're going to finally get here on line 7, what is our taxable wages for FUTA? and then we multiply that by 0.006. All right, so it sounds a little confusing, but I'm going to show you a way when we do an example it's not all that tough at all. And a lot of times, as I put here, a lot of times it's easiest if you go ahead and put in line 3, and then you jump down to line 7, because line 7 is actually pretty easy to figure out, especially if all of your employees go over the cap. If all your employees are at 7,000, and then you just multiply that by maybe your 3 employees. So 7 times 3 is 21,000. And then you start working backwards. You figure out, okay, only 21,000 is taxed. How much is not taxed? Basically, that would be line 6. Out of the 100,000 that they made, 21,000 is taxed. How much of the 100,000 then is not taxed? Well, it'd be 79. If you just took the 100,000 minus the 21 that is taxed, 79 would not be taxed. Okay, then out of that 79, how much of that was your benefits that you employees had money taken out? And you could easily calculate that. And you'd subtract that out. So let's say it was 20,000. So then you know that this line then has to be 59. So you can work backwards. Once you get line 3, it works out pretty easy. And we'll see that in an example too. All right, part 3 here, lines 9, 10, and 11. And basically looking at just line 11, we had to do this back from about 2011 through 2016. But we no longer do that because we've paid off that. Remember I told you that Indiana had to borrow. Well, we have paid that off. So we're not going to have anything in these boxes. They're going to be blank. Box 12 will be the same as box 8 because we're not adding anything in. And then line 13, well, that's going to be basically your total of down here. So that's going to be our check, like what we did on the 941. I think they were the same box numbers. Do boxes 12 and 13 equal? They better. All right, this was I'm not going to go through this, read through this. This is covering box 11. What happened back when we had to borrow money? And then how do we pay it back? All right, lecture example number 3. What I've provided here is all of the employees' wages. These are their gross wages. And I tell you what items that they have taken out that are for taxable purposes. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to show you what I feel is the easiest way to fill out the form 940. You may get out an Excel spreadsheet, and you could put this on your template if you wanted to, so it's always there. Or you could have it on a separate sheet, like I have here. And you may want to pause to get your item set up. I'm not going to wait a whole long time. So you'll want to pause on each of these and fill in the amounts. But the first thing I did is I'm going to be making here, as you can see, 3 different tables. And then filling in the line items based on those 3 tables and giving the answers to the 940. That's what our goal is. Okay, so the first thing is almost just in a duplicate copy of what's provided. These are our gross wages. And remember, that's something that I actually need for the 940. I need our gross wages. So it's important to go ahead and have this table anyway. So go ahead and pause and fill out the table and just make some total columns. And hopefully you'll get 69,000 for your total wages. And that is what would go in box 3. Okay, our next item, this would take us now to box 4. We're going to make another table. So I would just copy and paste, highlight everything that you have and copy it and then paste it over here. And we'll just change some of the names, change to payments that are exempt. And then we're going to change our dollar amounts here. All right, it says all the employees had 401k for 200 and all the employees had 300 taken out for medical insurance premiums. Now, this is only going to be for when they worked. So for Jack and Jill, they had 500 for quarters 1 and 2, and the same all the way across. For every quarter, they had 500. And for every quarter, Kramer had it. And Zena had it for only her final 2 quarters. That's when she was working. So when I add up all of these payments, I get 6,500. That tells me then what box 4 has to be. And we would check retirement plan and fringe benefits. That would be what we would have there with the 6,500. Okay, now we're going to hold off on line 5 for a second and line 6, and we're going to jump down then to line 7 and figure that out. And we can use the first 2 tables to help us get to line 7. Okay, so line 7, I want to know what is taxable for quarter 1 for Jack. So how much would we actually show as federal income taxable to see if we're going to hit the cap or not? If we subtract out 5,000 minus the 500, we're at $4,500, and do the same thing for Jill. So in quarter 1, neither of these 2 individuals hit the FUTA cap. But in quarter 2, when I add in another 4,500, that individual will go over the cap. So all I want to do is take the cap number and subtract the current wages to date, taxable wages to date. So that gives me 2,500 for a total of 7,000 max. Same thing for Jill. She definitely is going to go over the cap, so I take 7,000 minus her current wages to date. I'm going to do the same thing with Kramer. Kramer, this is his first semester or his first quarter. Third quarter will be his going over the cap. He's at 7. And Zena will end up being at 7 in quarter 4. So the total taxable wages, that's pretty easy. Just 7,000 times 4 is 28,000. So as I'm going through our answers, I've already got this one, and this one completed. Just based on my chart. I can fill in the other 2 items based on those 3 numbers. Okay. So line 6 basically is, well, what's left between your gross wages and your taxable wages? That's all that line 6 is doing. It says, okay, out of your gross, I know that 28 of that is taxable. So what's left that's not taxable? So just take the subtraction. That's all I did there. And then line 5, to get line 5, I know how much is not taxed. And I know that of that, 6,500 is because of our benefit program that's non-taxable. So whatever's left, that's the amount that the employees went over the cap. So all I did is another subtraction. This one. I said, okay, 41,000 minus this much came from our fringe benefits that we had taken out, the non-taxable wages. And then whatever's left, that has to be the amount because boxes 4 and 5 have to add up to line 6. Remember, line 6 is lines 4 plus 5. All right, when we come down here to line 8 is simple. All you got to do is take line 7 times 0.006. Box 12, it's going to be the same as line 8. And box 13 better be the same as our total. That's where this number is going to come from. And they are the same. Now we're going to see how did we get that to make sure yours will come out the same. Okay, so line 16, we're down to the second half. How much in liabilities did I have collected through quarter one? This doesn't mean I paid it. This is just how much was due by the end of quarter one. All we've got to look at is how much was taxable in quarter one, 10 grand, and multiply that by 0.006. So going up to my third table and multiplying it by 0.006. And then I'm going to do the same thing for each of the quarters. And when you add up all 4 quarters, you better get the same as line 12. So that filling form 940 to me is not nearly as difficult as the 941 can be. 941 isn't usually all that difficult, especially when no caps are hit. It can be a little bit more difficult when employees' wages change often. If they're like a part-timer and they work a lot of hours and then not a lot of hours, that can start to be a little bit more time-consuming. But this one, it's not too bad. 940. All right, we're going to finish out. We've got just a few items left to hit here. SUTA, when you're doing SUTA for the state, so we've just done FUTA payments through the 940. The SUTA, every state has their own forms. So for Indiana, they're called a UC1 and a UC5. So once your business is signed up with the state that says, yep, I'm a new business, they're going to start providing you with these UC1, these quarterly reports that tell them how much was taxable. It's going to be the same as FUTA. And then you're going to make payments based on that. So each state has their own forms and their own laws. We're not going to get into that. I wanted you to have the FUTA down because SUTA is going to be a little different. And it's a little bit harder to find the SUTA forms. The FUTA forms are all over the place because everybody uses them. But since every state is different, and since the state provides them to you, then it's not as readily available. All right, the last thing I wanted to look at is if you ever get to a point where you have to garnish somebody's wages or your wages are garnished, kind of give you a brief overview of how that works. So if a court does order that wages need to be garnished, the employers do legally have to do it. They have to set aside part of their paycheck and send it just like they would any of the taxes, send it to whoever's requesting it. A lot of times it'd be the court, and then the court would distribute that to the rightful person. Some debt even doesn't even require a court order. So as long as you have went in and showed that you can prove you had child support, you don't actually have to go through a legal process. You can say you can get the garnishment for that. Back taxes and student loans are the other two that you don't have to actually go through a hearing with a judge. Most of your garnishments are limited to your disposable earnings. Now, disposable earnings are basically your gross wages minus other items that have to be taken out per law, like taxes. But that's about it. It doesn't include disposable earnings. You can't subtract out your premiums that you have taken out or 401k that you have put aside. They're going to still include that in part of your disposable earnings, meaning that you have the money potentially, when really you don't, especially for health insurance, because most people need health insurance. But you're not going to have that ability to lower your wages and therefore pay less in a garnishment, because it's based on a set amount. Your garnishments, it's based on how much money do you have available to give. Notice here, I thought this was interesting. An employer cannot fire somebody for having one garnishment, but once they hit 2 or more, they can be fired, even if it's not even at the same time. Basically, I guess what that means is the law allows you to have one mistake, but if you have 2 or more, maybe it's starting to set a trend, and the employer may not be able to trust you because you're not taking good care of your money. Maybe you won't take good care of the business, whatever it is. So I thought that was interesting. Employers can withhold a fee because they're doing extra work on your behalf because you can't pay your own bills for whatever reason. So they're having to pay it for you, and rightfully so. That's extra work. They should be able to charge a fee, and they can and probably do, depending on the company. Notice here, every time you have child support taken out, they can take an extra $2 to make sure that that money is routed directly to the court. And then any other creditors might take a little bit more time and more work. It's going to be different for every person. They can take up to $12 or the greater of actually $12 or 3% of whatever is paid out. And the fee, it's not all paid by the one person. It's going to be paid by the debtor and the creditor. Both have to chip in on that one. So they're going to take out $6 from the employee, and then whatever is supposed to be paid on, they're going to take out another $6 from their check, from their part. With child support, they can take out quite a bit of income from your disposable earnings. They can take up 50% of your disposable earnings. So if you earned $1,000 this pay, they can take $500 right away before you even see your check. And that's if the employee supports another 50% if the employee supports a spouse or other kids that are not covered under the child support. That's the max they can take. If the individual does not have another spouse or any other kids, they can take 60%. That's quite a bit. They, just like, remember we talked about with federal taxes, once you start getting so high, it starts to become a deterrent. Employees may just stop working if it was any higher than that. Maybe they would stop working at this. They're like, yeah, I'm working, but I'm only taking home 40 cents out of the dollar. Their incentive to work is dramatically decreased. And then notice it gets even a little higher if they're way behind in child support. Some other items that can be taken out and how much can be taken out. Notice it's quite a bit less. Student loans can only take 15%. And then other creditors, 25%. And then it gets into the point, well, what if they have more than one garnishment? That gets a little bit beyond this. We're not going to get into that. I just kind of wanted you to have some of those amounts. You can go through this if you want. I have an example, but we're not going to do that here. All right, that's going to conclude our module 7. Hopefully you are well into the payroll project and have that. And I've already submitted that for at least the first review. If not the second, you should be there. Module 8, we will not have a video. You'll have some review questions and some review answers posted. And I hope you enjoyed this class. Please do go into the discussion board and leave some feedback. I take that feedback, and I've actually changed this class from the last time it was made, and made it due to some of those comments, and kept more of the items that was liked, and expanded basically modules 1 and 2 to make. I used to have modules 1 and 2 as one big module, and then I separated it out based on some of the comments, and I think that's going to be really helpful. So I really do look at those and appreciate those. All right, I hope you enjoyed the class and got a lot of value.